Hey, if you think you need a revolutionary idea, some great innovation, some grandiose plan to be a successful entrepreneur, then you're dead wrong. We've all heard stories, right, of billion-dollar unicorn startup companies, but here's the truth. Most successful businesses are not built on groundbreaking innovations or new creative ideas. So today we're going to bust the myth of the big idea and show you why execution and taking action is the real secret sauce in entrepreneurship, and it could be key to you owning your exit. Thanks for joining us. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Own the Exit. I just Google searched, I Google searched, how much is Google worth today?
You Googled Google.
I Googled Google, right? That's a mouthful. I'm never going to say that again in my life. It's over $2 trillion.
Not
you know
bad.
what's really interesting about that?
No.
Google was not the first search engine. It wasn't the second. It wasn't the third. It wasn't the fourth. Larry Page and Sergey Brin did not invent the search engine. They didn't come up with the idea, right? Instead, what they did was execute.
Right.
And do it at the highest level with the highest level of excellence. And they did it for a long time.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of entrepreneurs that I know, that we talk to every day, are stuck on this idea that I've got to come up with some innovative or revolutionary idea in order to be massively successful. And I just don't buy that myth, that lie.
You hear that a lot.
You hear it a
Like,
lot.
oh, I got to come up with a business. I actually met with a guy who's like, I got to come up with a business idea.
No, you don't.
What do you mean?
Pick one. Right? Like Cody Sanchez, right? She's Cody Sanchez.
Yeah.
You watch her stuff. Like her whole idea is that most successful people buy boring businesses or build boring businesses. It's like, when are you not going to need someone to paint your house?
Yeah.
Or take your trash? Those kind of things. Those aren't sexy business ideas. It's just like these are things that are needed. And if you execute, take action and do it, you can make a lot of money.
Yeah. Yeah. And like just the business that I'm in is real estate.
Yeah.
I didn't invent it.
Exactly.
I didn't invent real estate. I didn't invent the structure of how we do our real estate. I didn't create any of that.
Yeah.
I even tell that to people, whether it's investors or different people. Like we tell it to people. Like sometimes we're talking to a guy who wants to invest $500,000, and I'm like, he's like, so what do you guys do? Like, what do you guys do? I'm like, there's a lot of people that do this.
We do real estate.
We didn't invent it. There's a lot of groups out there that are great. Yeah. They're good operators. They're finding good deals just like we are. Right. So really it's just, but the thing is, we're going to be transparent. We're going to follow through with our business plan, and we're going to do it for a long time.
We're going to execute consistently for years.
Yeah.
And that's the key to being a successful entrepreneur versus being an entrepreneur who constantly starts things and never finishes. Is the entrepreneur that constantly is starting things and never finishing is usually looking for the idea rather than looking for the action or the execution. How do I take whatever the idea is and actually execute on it consistently?
Yeah.
You were mentioning something that you'd heard from Gary Vee. I'd love for you to share that. We were talking about.
This was a couple years ago now. He's got a big sign in his office that says, ideas are shit.
Yeah.
And then in tiny print underneath it says, execution is everything.
Yeah.
And he says, hey, every week I get multiple emails about good business ideas. And he's like, I just delete them all. Yeah. Because only 2% of people actually execute. And that was the number I think he used. And execution isn't just a burst of excitement and enthusiasm. If you get an idea or you get something, like, it's easy to get excited at first. And I don't think that's execution. Yeah. I think that's just a burst of enthusiasm or some motivation that then wanes. And so I think the execution is like executing over long periods of time. And like you talked about some of the companies, the most boring companies that have been around I was actually looking at the clock that's hanging on my wall in my kitchen. And that company was started in like 1850. I was like, this company's 170 years old making these clocks. Yeah. And they just execute. Yeah. And
I've got a friend, we actually have a mutual friend. He has a business, a painting company, a painting business, and he's actually fairly successful at that painting business. He's making money to pay his crews, to pay for his family, to support his family. He's doing well. He could scale that and build that and make that hugely successful, make it a multi-million-dollar company. But he had us over to pitch us this big idea that he had. And I'm not going to share the big idea in case he's listening, but maybe he knows. And this is not a knock on him. This is just a point that a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with, is he had what I believe was truly a great idea. And what you and I told him was, hey, go out there and get proof of concept. And then we'll consider infusing capital into this idea. But we have to see execution and action to prove that you can do the idea. Because
the idea was good.
The idea was fantastic, but a business is not the idea. Because I could just take it. Now I could just take his idea and do it.
Yeah.
What matters is the execution and the person or the people or the team that's able to take an idea, bring it into reality. And the truth is, any kind of, even let's say you do have a unicorn idea, which his wasn't like a unicorn idea. It was a good idea.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like the only time anyone had done anything like that. It wasn't a brand new technology. But let's say you do have this idea for a brand new technology and you want to start a business with it, and it is a great idea and it is something that's amazing. The truth is that bringing that new idea to life is going to be about the first 6 to maybe 18 months of your business. And then after that, it's just going to be incremental, constant, daily execution, empowering people to do their job, all those different kinds that are all the same in every business. And that's what makes the business successful, not the idea. So even if you have that exciting 6 to 18 months where you're able to birth this brand new, beautiful unicorn baby, right? Then in order to make that thing successful, you still have to do the same thing. So whether you're starting with a big, great, grandiose idea, or you're just starting something that's boring, the whole key to being successful as an entrepreneur is about taking action and execution. And not only that, but we were talking about this before we started the show, is it's not only action and execution, but it's sustaining that action and execution for a long period of time. What do you have to say about that?
No, absolutely. It's like people that go to the gym and, sign up for their New Year's resolution and are they executing? It's like, well, maybe in January when the gyms are filled and then February starts to taper off and then everyone's not following through with that. And I think it's so easy in business, like I call it like shiny object syndrome when you're an entrepreneur. And it's like entrepreneurs are on a scale. There's some entrepreneurs that I know that just all they can think about is like this new novel idea. And then some of the ideas are good, some are bad, but it's just like an idea generator. And it's like always bouncing around. And I don't actually have a lot of ideas. Like I just only have one. It's like, I'm just going to do this thing probably for the rest of my life. And things will develop out of it. But like, it's just like, I think I'll be more successful that way than always having something new and constant. It's exhausting almost it's exhausting to execute for 20 years too. But it's equally exhausting in a different way to always be having some new thing and getting a bunch of energy on it, but then it doesn't quite get off the ground. And then you're like, well, that didn't work. And it's not that it didn't work. It's that you didn't do it. And those are my thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the final thoughts that you and I have been talking about, the final thought I want to bring to this episode, where we're busting the myth of the big idea and we're saying the big idea is not the important thing. The idea is not the important thing. It's the execution. And I want to talk about the difference between sexy and stable. And we talk about that in real estate all the time. One of the most attractive parts about investing in real estate is not that it's sexy. It's not a shiny new object. It's been around since the dawn of time, right? Land has been around since the dawn of time. People have always needed a place to live, and they've figured out different ways to build structures to live in, to conduct businesses in, to meet in, to do all of that. And then those structures and that land combined have value, right? They have utility value and then monetary value, and then they continue to grow in value and all of that. And it's been around for so long that real estate is not a sexy idea. But it is a stable idea. It is a proven idea. It's something that everyone knows has the ability to generate more wealth than almost anything else in this country, at least. And I think about it and I liken it just continuing to shoot holes in the myth of the big idea that when you're in your early 20s and you're in the dating scene, right? there's a lot of emphasis on sexy, right? I want to find like a beautiful, sexy girl.
Uh-huh.
But as you get older, you realize like that stuff, what's more important is stability, right? There's a certain time as you mature as a human being, whether that's relationships, whether that's in business, you mature and you grow to a point where you realize that I'll take stability, I'll take stable over sexy anytime, because that is what has longevity and the ability to deliver over and over again. And so when you're thinking about dating, you're thinking about building a business, it's really the same idea.
Yeah.
It's look for the thing that's going to work for you 10 years from now, 20 years from now, not for the great grandiose idea that you have no idea whether or not it's going to be stable. You have no idea whether or not it's going to work. It's okay. Sometimes people have great ideas, and what we're not doing here is we're not saying that innovation is a bad word. Like, we want to be innovative, but I think the greatest innovations happen around proven concepts, not around grabbing something out of thin air and trying to come up with some creative idea just so you can like self-validate or feel like, oh, I was someone who broke this. Every technology that we have today was built on top of an existing technology. It was an innovation that took something and made it better and transformed and grew over time. And so if you can approach your business in that way of how can I start with something that's proven, that's anchored, and then try to find a way to make that thing better, that's where innovation serves its greatest purpose in entrepreneurship. It's in improving existing proven concepts rather than trying to come up with something brand new and thinking that's going to be the key to success.
Yeah, a lot of entrepreneurs, I think, they get excited and they're not operators. So they don't want to do the work over, and I'm saying this as an entrepreneur, I want to go find another deal. But I'm like, I've got 10 deals here that I need to operate though. Yeah. And my success is not going to be based on finding the new one if I can't manage the existing ones. And I think that can be a trap, or not a trap, but just something to be mindful of.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of what we were saying, along with Gary Vee on this podcast he had where he was talking about his business is just a marketing firm. Yeah. He's like, my idea is like not novel at all. It's like, it's literally a marketing firm. Yeah. But I execute. Yeah. And so that's why he's been so successful, not because he had a great idea, but because the guy just crushes it with the follow through. Yeah, absolutely. So the takeaway, guys, listening to this episode of On the Exit is you don't need some big innovative idea in order to be successful. What you need to do is execute with consistency and do that over long periods of time, and you will be successful and you'll be able to own your exit. So I just want to thank you for joining us. If you haven't yet, hit the subscribe button. If you haven't checked us out on YouTube, go there and check us out at Own the Exit. So thanks everyone for joining us on Own the Exit. We'll see you next time.